Hello, my name is Frances Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer. I am trained and skilled in all psychic abilities that all human beings have, but in this part of the world, they are those skills are very denied. At a time when our children are looking for superpowers via video games, it turns out that we have superpowers inside of us, and those are being denied. That's why all of our mantras have the word miraculous in them when we request something, when we intend something, because miracles today are very easy to achieve. I was picking up my office. You know that I moved, and today we're going to talk about Feng Shui. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. And I found a lot of things. And I'm going to discuss them with you, what it is that I had to deal with or dealt with having to do with this move, and what is your spaces, your environment, and how important it is. But before I do that, let me say, in terms of psychic gossip on X, a very respectable channel, was asking why there's an Egyptian pyramid on the American dollar bill. It's not that that site is not respectable. It's that that site is not multidimensional. Because if they were, they wouldn't ask that question. I'm going to show you what it is, why that pyramid is on the bill, and it's not a pyramid. It's a triangle. But let me show you why, what it is that they're referring to on the dollar bill. And we need to get this right. The first modern war fought with metaphysics was the Second World War. The Germans did it, and they almost won. They use a swastika, and everybody cringes with the swastika. It's a symbol that's 6,000 years old. And depending upon what direction it's moving in, it has to do with one of your energy centers, either the crown, which connects you to God, or the root, which connects you to earth. According to the Chinese, if you have both those connections, you are going to be stable. So, what we don't know can hurt us. And that's what this channel is all about. Giving you information about you, about your life, and things that you can apply very simply, most of which don't cost a penny. So let me show you. You know what? My mind is slipping a lot today. Yes, I have a migraine without a headache, but something is pushing this way. So if you see me, something is pushing my mind this way and my body is staying this way. Let's go back to the pyramid on the dollar bill. For you to understand what that pyramid's referring to, you have to understand the human energy system. So this is the human energy system. Far left, that's your physical body. That's your vehicle, your envelope of consciousness, your physical envelope of consciousness. The next body is your etheric, which is just like the Higgs field. It is a grid, and it's a protection because it doesn't allow stuff to go through that grid, like a fencing. And it's in the shape of your physical body, and the meridian system is within it. The next body is your astral body. This is the body that is your emotional body. It's composed of particles of emotion, and it is your spirit. When people die and people talk about their spirit, this is the body they're referring to, and it's your emotional body. So if you had emotional issues in your death process, you wake up in the other dimensions, you still have this body, it's your spirit, and you're in the astral dimensions, but you got a trauma because you died in a traumatic way, such as with morphine, uh, after surgery, in intensive care, with people worrying if you were going to die, all sorts of medications that make you lose control of your mind and your body. It's your emotional body. It went through a trauma, wakes up in the other dimensions, minus the physical body, and you have a traumatized spirit that's an easy prey for other spirits that are very awake and aware. The next body is the 72,000 mind strings that you see extended from the other body, which is the gold double terminated funnel in the center. That gold double terminated funnel is your causal body, where your intentions are. It's where cause is of everything on the planet. And then the chakras are there, but they're not a body. What they are the central channel. Your holy grail is tied up in 7 places. Those ties are called chakras. And most people think they're, oh my God, what's going on with my chakras? Rather than, darn, how do I untie the chakras so that my energy can flow up and down my causal body, my holy grail, and I have total access to all my intentions? Okay, so those are all envelopes of consciousness, vehicles of consciousness, each of them in different dimensions. The only one that's multidimensional are the 72,000 mind strings, which interpenetrate the different bodies, hold them together, and each body is in a different dimension. So therefore, the mind streams are multidimensional. The last body on the right is your galactic vehicle envelope of consciousness. And that triangle on the dollar bill is the triangle that is pointed up in the Merkaba, which is a vehicle that's been talked about for centuries. It's an integral part of what they teach in Judaism. The pyramids are shaped like a triangle. This is a triangle. They're two different things, and they have a lot in common, but not really enough that we should go into that. It's not a pyramid, that what's on the dollar bill. It is this triangle that represents the top 3 energy centers that you see, chakras that you see to the left. And one of those energy centers is the third eye, which is why you have the triangle with the third eye. Give me a second. Let me see if I can. I'm looking at it again. Exactly. If you look at the triangle, and it's such a shame that I didn't think to draw it up to be able to put it on screen. The third eye doesn't reach the point, because the third eye, this triangle with the apex pointed up, you have to divide in 3 horizontally. The middle section is the third eye, and in the dollar bill, the third eye, that big eye, does not go all the way to the top, because it doesn't go to the top. So we have an example here of something that is going to be discussed a lot. There's going to be a lot of accusations. Were they Freemasons? Were they this? It doesn't really matter what they were. What matters is what those symbols represent and how you can use them to your benefit. But you're not going to be able to use them if you're thinking it's a conspiracy. The conspiracy is that you were kind of not allowed to have this information. That's the conspiracy, not the symbol. So, continuing on, this chat is about your relationship. And I have to bring up again another graphic. You're looking at this graphic, and the center axis is your holy grail, the double terminated funnel. The 72,000 mind streams that extend out from it extend into your environment. That is the basis for Feng Shui. Those 72,000 mind streams is the basis for why Feng Shui is important. Because extending from you, those 72,000 mind strings, they are connecting with the energy around them, you. They are channeling back to you that energy, and they're channeling your energy to your spaces. Why is that important? My God. What they're channeling back to you, those two structures, the center one, which is the causal body, holy grail, where your intentions are, plus the 72,000 mind streams are the two levels of your mind that create reality on planet Earth. So, whatever they touch, these two instruments of creation should be good and supportive of your intentions. And the problem is that we don't know that. Many people love Feng Shui and they know that it works. They didn't know why. Francis Fox discovered why when I discovered and sketched the human energy field. So, another mystery unraveled. Oh, dearie me, I've made myself so big that I'm going to go and demand um, plastic surgery. It's good. The smaller the screen, the happier I am with how I look. Okay, so I moved. So let's get into simple things. The week before I moved, when we were in the with the contract, and then the condo association had to approve me, and even though everything was looked 100% clear because I have very good credit and I pay my bills and I don't have any lawsuits, I've never had one. I moved a plant that I move frequently because I wanted the rain to fall on it. I love nature and plants, etc. And when I moved it, there were dozens, hundreds of ants underneath it. And I went, oh, okay. I learned many years ago from a housekeeper from Peru that when you get a lot of movement of ants where you have not had it before, it means you're going to move. I've had that plant there for a year. I've moved it many times for it to be able to catch some rain. It's never had any ants under it other than the week before I moved. You can trust the animals. You may not be able to trust politicians. You may not be able to trust other people, but you can trust the animals. The messages that they're giving you, you can count on. In the Bible, it says that the first thing that God did on the planet was not create man, it was to create nature, and then animals. And then, with that backdrop and those sustaining and nurturing energies, he created man. Okay, so the ants. I looked at them and I laughed and I went, all the contracts, everything is going to go through, because if not, those ants would not have been there. So there's an issue which I am familiar with more than most people because I had a friend that dealt with insurance claims. And that issue is the issue of mold in homes and in buildings. Oh, why is Francis going to go into such a boring subject? Because mold are spirits. Okay, so we've always had mold. No, no, we've always had mold. Many of us have mold in our front door. Why is that? Why is it that there's not so much mold in the back door, but there is in the front door? Well, there's a reason. There's a lot more spirits that attach to the front because that's the entrance of chi in your home and in your life. It's also where the energies of your career are channeled. Important not to have mold in your front door. But what I'm talking about is a situation that I'm not sure that many people in the public are aware. And we're talking about Miami right now, which is one I'm familiar with, but I'm sure it's happening across the country. I mean, I'm not young. I've been around the block. I've known people. I've had several homes. Whatever. I don't remember until the last 5 years that there being issues of mold. I never heard of somebody having to move out of their house for 6 weeks because there was mold in their house. I never heard of entire buildings being shut down. I've heard of buildings being condemned, but shut down because of mold? That's very new. And I don't think it's just for insurance purposes. I think that there is, as in all the other spirits, there's an augmentation of the type of spirits that we call mold. Now it turns out that we're discovering that a lot of our diseases have parasites. Parasites are spirits. You cannot be sick. You cannot have an organ that is sick that there not be a spirit attached to it. So when we're talking about parasites, we're just talking about very, very, very tiny spirits. They're still spirits. They still have consciousness and they still have intention. Okay? That's important to remember. So The whole issue with homes and mold. What is it that we need to know about that? We didn't have this problem before. But if you have it or someone has it, you should identify what part of the house that mold is in. I had the home that I sold because they closed off the end of the block. My home became a street with two or three cul-de-sacs, but it was not, you couldn't drive through to a cross street. They closed it to make it safer. They also basically truncated everybody's career in life because living on a dead end street does that. And you can say, well, how do you know that? Well, why don't you just use your common sense? If you have a vein or an artery and you close it off, you're going to have stagnation. If you have running water and you close it off, you better do something about keeping that water alive because you're going to have a problem. Well, the same thing happens with the street. So anyway, I sold the house, but I had mold before then. And I actually, because of my friendship with this person who dealt with insurance claims, I became like a little bit more savvy and I recognized the issue. Anyway, I had to move out of my house. I think well, actually, I didn't. They sectioned off my house with all these plastics. It looked like ETs were coming or something, some bio weapon, some whatever. Very weird. The point of the matter is that the mold was exactly in the part of my home that channels the energy of children. And all of you know that my big issue, the reason I worked for free for 60 years, the reason I never said all the secrets that I know is because of threats to my children by the government. It would make sense that that would be the place where I would have mold. That's where I had mold. So if you have issues of mold, whether they're the kind that is so dangerous that they have to turn your house to where it looks like a science lab with some kind of virus that could escape, what energy is channeled in that section of your home. And again, I will put the name of the map, which is the Bagua map. You can look it up, lay it over the front door of your home, and you will be able to know what issues, where you have issues or where you're going to have issues, where you need to pay attention. Your front door is real important because it is close to the 7 energy centers that you have in the underworld. It is the entrance of chi, life force, into your home and into your life, and it channels the energy of career. That is right outside the front door and inside the front door. So it would be important that your front door not have mold, that if you have plants, that they not be half dead, which that happens to too many of us, that your doorbell ring. I'll never forget one day I had Univision came to do a segment on the home. And I remember they were supposed to choose a home and they didn't. They wanted me to do mine, which is, if you're working with people like that, producers, you just basically say yes to everything unless it includes killing people because you want them to be happy with you. And I went, okay, I'll read my own home, which I was not happy with. So anyway, I'm walking them through and we go to the front door and I said, it would be important. This is your career. It would be important that your doorbell work. And of course, my doorbell didn't work. And I was like, okay, I know it. And yet it's hard to pay attention to all the details. I realized, oh my God, my doorbell doesn't work. I also never put an awning over my front door. And when I think about it, I wonder, it wasn't going to be that expensive. It's not like expense was going to be an issue. It was a small space. I did not protect my career. And that kind of makes sense because I'm not able to protect my career today because of all the people that would prefer that I be quiet and not talk. They're afraid I'm going to say something that might not be good for them. I did not protect my front door. So what you need to do, I had a cameraman that did some camera work for me and we talked about the home, whatever. So when I spoke to him next, I said, how did you like the content? He said, are you kidding me? I came home and I said to my wife, get your tennis shoes on and your old shorts. We are going to get to work. And she said, what are you doing? You just got home. Let's rest. And he said, no, 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 no. We have got to take care of the front door. What's the matter with the front door? It needs to be painted. We need to change the light bulb. And look at all that mold and those plants. And she was like, what is going on with you? And he said, listen, this is important. I'll explain later. You need to look at the entrance of your home. If you want to keep things flowering in your career, it's the entrance, but it's the inside of the door and the outside of the door. And I would strongly suggest that you use the Egyptian cross, which is called the Ankh. And I don't have one right here, but it is the cross that has the circle at the top of the head. That cross protects all of you, including your head. The regular cross is just the horizontal bar and the crossbar. This one at the top, it has a circle that's a protection for your head. I want to remind you that when Jesus Christ was crucified, he had a crown of thorns around his third eye. What does that mean? I think we need to figure that out. I think I already figured it out. Basically, he was saying the third eye is dangerous. You're not allowed to touch it. You're not supposed to, but not like he was saying it. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when we talk about the dollar bill. I think you really need to know what that third eye is doing there. So your front door should have an ankh, because the ankh is the cross of Anubis, the god of the underworld. I'm not trying to get you to change religions. I'm giving you information that has been valid for centuries, was totally revered by the Egyptians who built those pyramids that we're still in awe over. How did they do that? They did a lot of things that we still can't do. And their gods and the symbolism, which, because a lot of it has to do with symbolism, but also power in the other dimensions, were very valid for parts of life that we're not familiar with today, such as the underworld. So the god of the underworld, Anubis, this is his cross. It protects your head. What Jesus Christ was trying to tell us was problematic. So your spaces are incredibly important. Your mind extends into them. And if you move into a place where there is a spirit, like you have a haunted house, which is not that unusual, where that spirit is in your home, because when people say haunted house, okay, haunted house. Okay, where? No, my house is haunted, but where? Well, I don't know. Yes, you do. Where do you hear noises? Where is it very cold? Where is it that your kid says he sees something, feels something? No, yeah, you're right. It's in the kitchen at night. Okay, because the spirits don't usually wander the house. They usually have a location that they feel comfortable and where they're not going to be knocked about by a lot of lights and noises and movement, because they don't like those three things. So wherever that is, when you use that Bagua map, you put it over your home, and then you go, okay, it's the kitchen where we have these weird things going on. You locate it, you will know where in your life you have some weird energies. Last night in our chat, and then I'm going to end this and we'll go into the healing part. Last night in our chat, let's see if I can find the map. I did the map of Venezuela, the United States, and Mexico. The map of the United States had an X in the center. The center is the heart. The center of your home is this heart. It's also health. Both things. And there was an X there, which means black magic. So anyway, we worked and we cleared it. we did find something, and then we're going to go ahead and do a mantra. We did find something very interesting in Mexico. A new fault line has formed that started, I believe, in New Mexico and goes all the way into Mexico. That fault line has the potential for creating the type of energies that you see in those paintings of the apocalypse, where it's the underworld that comes up and people are crying and killing each other, and there's body parts and everything is red and the devil is all over the place. That fault line has the ability to open us up to the underworld at that level. I have to remind you that after 9/11, 9 days after 9/11, I saw a new fault line form under New York City. And I said it publicly. I think I said it on Univision News. I put it on my website, and I said that there could be an earthquake. And October 20, after 9/11, there was an earthquake, epicenter New York City. Why am I saying this? To tell you that when I tell you there's a new fault line from New Mexico way into Mexico, and that fault line opens us up to the apocalypse, then maybe because of my record, we should pay attention to that. So we are working on closing it. And the most fascinating thing was, and one of my followers had to remind me, we were working on closing it with superpowers, da 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 da. But one of my followers reminded me, what's the cause of this? Why can that happen? The same way when you have a problem, you have to say, why do I need this problem? What is broken in me that I could have this problem? And what it was, it had to do with abuse of women. Now, this was not that near to Juarez, where they had hundreds of women that were raped and killed and mutilated years ago. This, it was, it shook us up, the fault line. But as soon as we started to work with the mantra and the mantra music to try and close that fault line, and we did the mantra having to do with the cause, we were able to move very quickly. We still have to go back, and we're going to be doing that tonight. Root cause is important. You want to be a master? You ask, why did I need this problem? Because your problem is a symptom of something a lot deeper. So anyway, I could spend hours on the Feng Shui. We're not going to. We'll try that another time. But I'm happy with my move. I moved to where there's a lot of trees. Trees anchor. Trees stabilize. When you get into trouble or you feel completely out of it, you visualize yourself as a tree with branches extending up to whatever, or extending up to God and connecting to God, and branches and roots extending to the bottom. And you will be able to center and stabilize your energy system. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the mantra for having a miraculously that the oh my God, spiritually sophisticated mantrista. What was the mantra from yesterday? Please, God, help us with our intention that the elections be miraculously, uh, that the results be miraculously obvious. What is the other word? So sorry. You would think I would write it down, right? Nope. Give me a second. Mm. Isn't this what we have editors for? So people like me don't have to walk and chew gum at the same time? And now I have to do the whole thing because I don't know how to make it go back. Give me a second. Okay, your spaces are important. The space of people, of Americans, is the United States. The space is important, and we're overheated. Too much fire. Your spaces may be overheated from all the radiation, and the mantrista music that we have can reduce the fire in your spaces so that your destiny is not affected by the fact that you are able to afford all those radiating devices and that you are addicted to them, because we all are. Okay. And if there's any spelling errors, I'm so sorry. We're lucky we got it up here. Okay. Please God help us with our intention that the elections be miraculously fair and the results be miraculously obvious. And I'm going to put the mantra music that is for the mind streams, the trilling one. Okay? So that our strings, which create our reality, not have a lot of knots in them, not have a lot of congestions, not have a lot of vasanas, which are considered deep-rooted injuries to our mind that create karma and bad patterns. So let's do 10 minutes. Repeating the mantra again, which you repeat in silence and you expel the breath through your mouth. Please, God, help us with our intention that the elections be miraculously fair and the results be miraculously obvious. Okay. That felt very good. And I got an image of a black box coming up. I have no idea what that is, but I have a feeling that if we get this particular mantra with the supporting music out there, that we can make a difference. And we're not talking about who wins, we're talking about the process. And that the process be something that people are satisfied with. And that once it's done, it's done. And we can get back to work. And I was thinking about my being obvious with my support for Donald Trump and how that might appear to not be what I should be doing, that I should stay on the sidelines. And perhaps that's accurate. The issue is that if I look at the United States with a wide lens, what we are known for, the reason why the immigrants came here from the beginning, I'm not talking about the southern border, had to do with looking for prosperity, for looking for stability, having to do with being able to have food and a place to live, the things that we consider that we need to consider ourselves prosperous. And in this country, prosperity is not owning 22 cows. It has to do with business. I did not set that up. I enjoy business. I find it very stimulating and very creative because of the kind of businesses I like. I wouldn't get into anything like accounting. So it makes sense that I would be favoring somebody who has known how to do business because that is something we need to hang on to very tightly in this transition from one world history cycle to another world history cycle because it is the physical dimension and a lot of the prosperity issues that are very shaky. So, to favor it, for me, I am expressing myself, to favor somebody that has experience in that arena at a time when that arena is getting very iffy because of the collapse of hierarchy, it makes sense. So please don't be critical that I have been open and not play games with you about who it is that I favor and know that that's the reason. It's so that there be stability and people can go about their business and go about their business. I'm talking daily life. I lived in Tibet for a year. I was sent there by the US military, and I lived with a shaman, and then we'll be finished. But I need to say this because it has to do with what I'm talking about and what the country is going through right now. And that shaman was an old, old man. He was a Bon master. Those are the ones that know they're Buddhist, but they know about magic. Anyway, I was 10 years old. I did not have a lot of fun. I still have to do therapy, having to do with the time there, even though a lot of it was very beautiful, what I learned, the concepts that I learned. But the Bon master told me, and we spoke telepathically, that he had had a dream and his masters had told him to take me as a student because I was going to be able to bring his teachings, the teachings of his world, which was Tibet, shamanism, because Bon masters are shamans, to this part of the world, the West. And that was good because that wisdom that they have over there in Tibet, they weren't able to use it to a great extent because they didn't have the baseline issues of food, where to live, and health for the family under control. They were not prosperous. Without that baseline prosperity, the wisdom couldn't help them. He told me that when I was 10, and I'm putting it on the table and telling you now as an explanation of why perhaps I went out of my comfort zone and expressed who I favored in this election. But this country should elect whoever it is that the majority of people want, not who it is that I want. I'm giving information that you should add to all your other information. Okay? I just wanted to share that. I'm Frances Fox, and we will see you again.